it's all about experimentation, man. And like, okay, what's working? What's not
Yep.
working? What are we going to try?
A lot of people just play it safe because they don't have the space to take creative risks,
Hmm.
or they just don't have crazy ideas that, are very experimental, and some will land and many will not.
Basically, it feels like you're like Tiger Woods with this thing, dude. It's insane. Look up lap golf, the DF3. I just fell in love with this putter using it. Now I'm like,
Yep.
dude, I would love a putter. I'll do promotion for you for free. Like, I don't care. Like, I just love the thing.
Yeah. 9 times out of 10, people just want to have her post about shit that she really is not passionate about or hasn't struggled with or experienced before.
You know why I start and people who listen to this are gonna just die because I say this every time, which is like, I just start podcasts like as soon as like I just start recording because what I
I've
noticed.
never seen anyone do it, and I love it.
Yeah, because what happens is like you start talking and juicy stuff starts coming out, like, and then you're like, wow, I wish we were recording right now, right? Like that's the first thing. And then the second thing that I've noticed is like there's this big authenticity thing going on right now in content. Like people are blowing up with like random YouTube videos on their phone, like it's crazy.
Yeah.
That's so a little more authentic. But three is like what I've noticed about people is that when you hit record, like their personality just completely changes. Like it's
fucking
fun.
love this. Yes, that's awesome.
Right? Yeah. Their personality is just like,
Yeah,
all right, are we ready? Are we ready?
Yeah.
And they're just like, they just get a little more like, I don't know, closed off or something. So I'm like, you know what? I just want this to feel like we're sitting down, having a conversation, having a beer, or I don't drink. So let's call it an iced tea. But yeah,
I noticed the same things too, because it's almost like people they break into character. They feel like they have to start acting, and it's like, no, just be a real human, like who you are outside of work. Just be the same person.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, and if people could sniff through that, right? Like I sniff through it. I'm just like, boring. Like you sound like a corporate, robot. So, we don't want that here. Not on Andy's pod. That's not what happens. We like to have fun, right?
I love it.
Yeah, man. We saw each other at that event. What was it called?
It feels like it was 6 months ago. It was about a month-ish ago. Spring in Austin.
Yeah, spring in Austin. That's right. Shout out to Pip, who I called Peep because it's spelled Peep. And he corrected me real quick. Like he's like, oh, used to that, And I was like, oh shit, dude. I'm not European, dude. I'm sorry. Like it's Pip, So shout out to Pip for inviting me to that. And yeah, it was a good event. I liked how small it was.
Yeah.
How intimate it was. And I mean, dude, you're a marketing master. Like, what did you think of that event? Like, that's part of what you do, right? Like,
yeah,
and what I want to get out of this pod today too, Mark, actually, before we get into it is, I'm actually doing a new structure and you're the guinea pig. So this is going to be great. And we're doing what people actually really love to hear in this pod. I used to just kind of keep it flowing, have a few questions, but we're going to do 3 go-to-market plays that you live by, right? 3 experiments you're currently running. Okay. And then 3 things you tried that just absolutely did not work.
So this is hysterical because I'm literally presenting basically what you just said to my 2 co-founders tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Central.
So we can practice, dude.
Right in it. This is
perfect. Okay. Dude, amazing. So then this is perfect practice for you. So like, because kudos to you, because that's what I want to hear from my team, right? Like it's all about experimentation, man. And like, okay, what's working? What's not working? What are we going to try? Right. Like, and it's just that literally over and over again is kind of like what I figured is like, that's what go-to-market today boils down to. If you want to work with speed, fast, and ship like crazy, right? Like try a bunch of shit because it's no longer throw people into a sequence and, you win deals. So, dude, well, let's start 3 go-to-market plays, dude, that like are your go-to.
Well, hold on. You asked me one question that I still got to answer. Spring, I'll give you my rundown.
Yes. Yeah, please. Yeah.
So I didn't go last year, and last year was the first year that they had the event, and I paid attention to, pretty much everything that he does with Winter, and I thought he did a great job of just getting people to talk about the event after the event. So there was some curiosity there for me. And I really didn't know what to expect, but I think just knowing Pep, like he likes to do things differently. And I think for me, what stood out the most was that he really did not care about the presentations. That was not the focus of the event. He did a good job at making the presentations very short and very actionable. So I would definitely commend him for that. And I think the biggest like positive of the event was it's all the side conversations and it's the roundtables that, you know, we were sitting at and some of the ones that I'd moderated. And I was a little nervous about, you know, hey, you're forcing people who probably don't know each other and they're strangers to go talk on a topic. Are they actually going to talk? Are they going to sit there in awkward silence? Like, how is this going to play out? I was wildly surprised at how honest and helpful and just raw the roundtables were. Like, people were talking and not acting in character, and they were honest about what worked and what didn't work. And then outside of that, I mean, I loved the venue and the fact that the bar opened at 2 p.m. on, I think, both days, which was pretty funny. Yeah.
I saw people getting beers at like 10 a.m., dude. I think it was open all day. I'm still getting out of bed, rolling in here. People already have beers. I'm like, oh, this is funny, dude. This is funny stuff.
And I think I didn't really appreciate, just one parting thought on the event, I didn't really appreciate how well it was executed until I went to another event, I think like 2 weeks later, that was in a hotel. I'm not going to name the event, but it was in a really dark hotel conference room with no natural light, with just a bunch of forced presentations and really the old way of doing events. And I think once I went back to the old way of doing B2B events, it made me like spring that much more.
Yeah. You know, dude, I haven't been to an event before that one in like 3 years. I've just been in my room, your white walls working, you know? So like, So I went and I was like, and I had low expectations because I'm like, dude, B2B events are so boring. But that event was killer, man. Yeah. And so for people listening, here was like the breakdown. It was like, and you know, what's funny, this is how I run my cohort of like, I get a bunch of cool founders together. We all build on LinkedIn together. And literally this is the format I do. And it's I present or someone presents for 30 minutes. And then the next 30 minutes is breakout rooms. And the breakout rooms is where the magic always happens, right? I've been doing this for 3 years and I'm like, people love it because they meet new people. They kind of get out of their shells, you know, they do that. And so Pip actually did that with this event. I'm like, shit, why didn't I think of that? That's a great way to do it, where it was someone presented and then there was breakout tables where you would have a number on your card. You would then go, you know, it was like session 3, your number 5 or something like that. So for the third session, you would go to number 5 table and you'd be at the table there. And then there was someone like leading a topic at that specific table. And it was that table specific topic was always the same, but the people rolled around that like you weren't going to go to table 5 again if you were already there once. Right.
Yep.
So that was the format for people listening. And did I miss anything? Was there anything?
So you nailed it. So I have a slightly different perspective because I was moderating the roundtables. So so as I was, this is kind of funny, but it's a compliment at the end of the day. So when I was prepping for the event, I thought like, oh, it's a roundtable. I can just, you know, say whatever and it'll be fine. And Pep was like, no, like, what are you going to be talking about at the roundtables? I want to see this ahead of time. Like, give me some notes and have a couple of seed questions.
Yeah.
And having to go through it on top of everything else that I was doing at that time, I was like, is this really necessary? Like, why? Like, can't this just go off and can't we just wing it and it'll be fine? And after I went through all the roundtables, and I assume that others prepped just as much as I did, but the roundtables were really good. I think because people actually prepped the questions and seed questions that they were going to ask and made sure that everyone was getting a chance to chime in. So looking back, I thank Pep for being a kind of a hard ass about like the prep that went into it, because it did make the conversations, you know, that much stronger and more helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that is good. What's that quote about prep? Like, you know, if you prep, some smart philosopher has a weird quote on this.
Yeah. Smarter than me.
Yeah. Smarter than me. Yeah. It's like preparation is the best, right? Like that's my version of it. So, I'm not going to lie. I think I know the quote, but it's something like you should prepare and like, that's smart that Pep did that. And I'm glad he pushed people to do that because it was really well done, dude. And, and you know, for me, what was useful, I was just going around in the round tables is literally what I want to ask you, right? Which is like, what are people's go-to plays I'm not thinking about?
Yep.
What are experiments they're running, and what have they tried that doesn't work, so I don't waste my time? Not that you know, what doesn't work for one company isn't always what may not work for another, but like, you know, context always. So, yeah, man, I think the first thing, let's get into it. Like, your 3 go-to-market plays. I think I have an idea of one of the first ones, but what are like your 3 kind of go-tos that like you came into UserEvidence, which by the way, everyone, we never even said, you know, Mark is the VP of marketing at UserEvidence, a great company. And there's a couple things I saw you do because I've been watching closely when you first came in. So I would love to hear there. You're they're like 6 months now or something.
So I actually just looked the other day, and it's better that I feel like this now, because sometimes you maybe don't join the right company or role and you're like, oh man, it's only been like this amount of time that I've been here. Like it feels way longer in like the worst way. I've been here about 10 months. It feels way longer in the best way possible. It's kind of surprising how long I have been here.
Oh, wow.
It feels like 6 months in my head. But then I looked at the calendar the other day. I was like, whoa, it's almost coming up on a full year. So 3 go-to-market plays. I'm actually going to use one that we're executing right now, specific to spring. And it was the first time that I had tried it out. And I'm going to be doing it again at Dave Gerhardt's Exit 5 event in the fall, Drive in September. So like we were just talking about, I'm not the biggest fan of having a presence at an event and paying money to sponsor. And I will never have a trade show booth under oath. You can quote me on that. I told Evan and Ray, the 2 co-founders. Okay. So like the shelf life for events is just, it's so short. Like the event is, you know, maybe 1 day, maybe 2 or 3 days, and you're there and it's a whirlwind while you're there. And then as soon as the event's over, you throw everyone you talk to in some messy Google sheet. Maybe you have a scanner or tool to make it easier to get it in your marketing automation platform. You blast everybody with follow-ups. And then a week after, it's like on to the next one. And the events is just, it's done. So what I did at Spring, I had this idea was I had found Event Shark, so a local Austin video agency. I had evaluated a couple other video agencies. They just worked with B2B startups and were a little bit scrappier. And what I did was I used it as a play to create about 8 months worth of content from this event. And you saw me grinding out there.
Yeah. I saw you grinding.
Yeah. So I coordinated about, I think it was like 14 or 15 different interviews with people who either were speaking at the event and someone that I respect, or someone who I had wanted to have a conversation with that was relevant to, you know, B2B marketing, product marketing, customer marketing, the product that, or really the problem that our product solves for. And I scheduled 20-minute interviews with all of these people ahead of time and cranked out all of those interviews over the course of 2 days. And then what we were able to do then is create long form interviews that are going on YouTube. We're releasing them every 2 weeks, and then also cutting up each of those clips into, you know, probably 4 or 5 clips for social, and just extending the shelf life of the event with content big time. So that was something that was really an experiment that I'd never done before and had always wanted to do. So I think it's a go-to-market play, or it was a experiment that is now turning into a go-to-market play for us. And I'll be using that later this year, a second time, applying learnings that I, you know, basically got from the spring event.
And the thing there is you're sponsoring these events where you're doing that too, right?
Yep.
So you're sponsoring them. So you have your own specific, that's part of the deal you're making with companies, which is like, hey, we're sponsoring. We want this one section. We're going to do interviews. And I'm sure you're giving them some content afterwards too, and all that fun stuff. So interesting. I like that. Because the half-life is very small of those events. You're right. And then the people you have there, like specifically spring, there was a lot of smart people there, right? So I think every event, there's a lot of smart people. So why not capture their ideas, thoughts? And, everyone's already there. So it's like, hey, I'll take an interview. Why not? It makes people feel good. And then you can be like, hey, we'll send you this content. You have content for yourself, right? Like,
and then I'm going to give away a little bit of the secret sauce because it was sincere. I was not trying to, you know, bamboozle them, but there were a couple people that I talked to that were on our target account list, and they were the right person that we should be talking to.
Yeah, exactly.
And I did not pitch UserEvidence to them in the interviews. If, you know, they listen to this, and maybe they will, and they listen back to the interview, they will see that some of the questions that I asked them have an indirect tie to what we do at UserEvidence, but it wasn't outright talking about UserEvidence. And of those people, I don't want to say it was 100% hit rate, but it was definitely north of like 60 or 70%. By the end of it, they said, oh, that sounds pretty interesting. We should talk. And then it's like, all right, well, I led with content and now it's turned into a relationship.
Yeah. Why do you think I do this podcast?
Yeah.
That's literally it. Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's literally like, dude, we did this play at Outreach. I've done this play with every company. It's like, you get content, right?
Yep.
That like you can keep putting out, and sometimes really good stuff. You build relationships, and then with those relationships comes like deals, right? And like, I'm not pitching anyone right now. Like, hey, dude, check out Distribute. I might ask you in a couple of weeks, but you know, we're talking to Ray and stuff, whatever. So, you know, but yeah, exactly. Like that's the point. And so people are like, I put it on YouTube and like, you know, I get 1,000, 2,000 views, whatever, but compared to LinkedIn, that's what I'm getting. It's nothing. Yeah. But I'm like, for me, the value is not in getting a shit ton of views on YouTube. The value for me is meeting the people that come onto the show. Right. Yep. And so I think every business is, you know, everyone says every company should be a media company. Well, to start that process, every company should just launch a podcast. Yeah. If anything, your, you know, founder led, creator founder, you know, that's a big thing right now. Like get them hosting it. Right. Yep. And like they have the credibility, they have the authority, they have all that. So you're talking to the founder, right? Yep. That's literally, if companies aren't doing that right now, like they're leaving money on the table. Right. Yeah. Is what I would say. So
absolutely. Yeah. So second go-to-market play. So this is another one that I had thought about trying to do in some way at my last company, but I just didn't really have the autonomy or approval to do this. So I wanted to figure out a way to partner with creators, influencers, but really advisors at the end of the day. And I knew that I wanted to do something there, but I didn't really know what I wanted it to look like. So I thought back to my experience being an advisor at a couple different companies. And some of them were basically just, you know, hey, throw the advisor position on your LinkedIn profile and post about us. And it's really them just wanting to tap into the existing audience that you have. So I didn't really find it being, you know, very, I don't know, fulfilling on my side of the house. And then I've been an advisor at Novatic, and I think that's been the best experience that I've had so far. And I took some of what I liked from that advisor program and then also put my own spin on it. So what I did was I found the 3 people who I thought were the most relevant personas that we needed to really get a better understanding of. So Jason Oakley, he's one of the better product marketers that I've ever met in B2B. Kaylee Edmondson, when I think of her, she and I go back a couple of years just as like peer mentors. She's one of the best minds in demand gen. And then speaking of demand gen, this was totally unplanned. Jen Allen Knuth, who founded Demand Gen, her little company.
Because Jen,
nice. Comes from a sales background. So they were 3 of our core personas that we're really trying to break into. So I wanted to treat them truly as advisors. So it's not, hey, go post about UserEvidence. I literally do not ask them to do that ever. I have monthly advisor calls with them where we have structured kind of workshops of, you know, hey, we're trying to figure out what messaging is going to work with, you know, this particular persona, or, hey, here's a problem that we have internally that is totally in line with what you are good at. How would you think about this? What are the types of questions that you would ask? How would you work through this with me? And I hate to say this, advise. Like if you're going to hire an advisor, like let them advise, like use their expertise. Now we gave them some equity in exchange for their time, and we've featured them in content, both in the Proofpoint, my show, in written content. Like we want it to be a two-way beneficial street, not just, hey, go post for UserEvidence. And then the other 2 things that I really played up when I was trying to recruit them to be advisors were this. One, the best part of these programs that I found by way of Novatic was when you get to meet other people who you don't already have existing relationships with. And I want you to go talk to other advisors without talking to me. Like this isn't just, you know, a UserEvidence thing. Go build relationships, you know, with Jason and Kaylee and Jen, and I will go introduce you to other people that I know. Like I want to kind of build your network too. So that was one thing that I played up and I've gotten feedback on that I've truly followed through on, which is great. And then the final thing was complete transparency into everything that's going on in marketing land at UserEvidence. So every month I send a recap out with, what's going on at the company level, what's going on at the marketing team level. And I include the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I put my commentary on it, and I give them complete transparency into everything that's going on. And I think for 3 of them, they're all kind of solopreneurs right now. They've all said that they miss feeling a part of being on a team, and they love these updates. They know everything is not sunshine and rainbows. They like to see what's going on and how they can help. And the Slack threads in these monthly updates are crazy active, and it's just fun. So I've gotten great feedback on it right now, and I know that they really enjoy it as well.
Nice. And then you don't have like a quota for how many times you have to post a month, right? It's just like, hey, you're an advisor, you have shares, like our success is your success. So like
exactly
when you, like if you feel like you need to, like, hey, you own like a piece of this, right? So that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that feels more authentic, a little more authentic than having to do it, right? Like, because I've been thinking through this too, and it's like there's a couple models that people are using, right? There's your model, give them some equity, but it's more like, I've been in one of these advisors before, right?
Yeah.
Give them some equity, and then talk to them every once in a while if you need something, and that's pretty much it, right? It was kind of like whatever. And then there's the one model that I think RepView does, right? Like RepView does this, and I think a lot of people follow suit on this, where it's like you get a monthly, like they say, hey, we're going to do a 3-month deal with you. We're going to pay you $1,000 a month. And I think it's way less than that for some people, but $1,000 a month, and you will post once per month for us. And then they'll tell you what to post, not what to post, but when to post. I'm sorry. And then, they'll say, hey, they'll hit you up like a week before time. Hey, can you post on this day? And then they get a group of like 5 influencers to do that. Right. And then on specific days, they do that, which is interesting, right? Like, I'm sure it works for them because they keep doing it, right? Like it works, but that's depending on their product, and it has to do with hiring and with LinkedIn. Hiring is like super, that's a really good topic. The thing so those are the positives. The negatives of that is that like you can kind of see that like these people aren't actually huge super fans of the product or super users, right? And like, so it dilutes it a lot, right? Versus someone that's like a freaking super fan of something, right? I'll give you an example. Right now I'm in Mexico, and my wife and I and my son go between Mexico and Austin, and I met this guy that started a putter, like he makes golf putters. Like a couple people on the tour use them and stuff. And I'm not like a huge golfer. Like I like to do it.
What's the name of the company?
It's called Lab Golf. All
right.
And this putter is insane, dude. They're not cheap. They're like $500, but
too nice for me.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm talking about them right now, but dude, this putter, basically it feels like you're like Tiger Woods with this thing, dude. It's insane. Look up Lab Golf, the DF3. And just check it out. And like, I just fell in love with this putter using it because one of my golf coaches he was like, try it out, and then met this guy, email chat here. And now I'm like, dude, I would love a putter. I'll do promotion for you for free. Like, I don't care. Like, I just love the thing. And so there's that kind of like excitement around, if you were to get people like that to promote your product, they're actual like users and love what you do. And so I've kind of changed my mindset on that, because I was big on like, oh, just get the influencers. But I'm like, if they're not actually loving my product, then I don't know. I think it's a long-term not advantageous, right?
So let's talk about that a little bit, because I think one of the things that I really had to sell each of them on was the problem that we solve for, and whether or not that's a problem that they've experienced firsthand themselves, and something that they've struggled with, and something that they believe in. And I know, and I've heard this from Jen, from when she's told me, she said it on other podcasts, that she gets hit up all the time. And 9 times out of 10, people just want to have her post about shit that she really is not passionate about or hasn't struggled with or experienced before. So she really wanted to believe in the problem that we solve for, else she wouldn't do it. And it's cool, because then you have people who truly feel a part of something, they're bought into it, and not just you kind of pimping them out for their LinkedIn followers.
Exactly. Yeah. And that is, man, there's such a big difference in like the way content is put out, just with that mindset shift, right? Of like, hey, I'm doing this because I know the problem they're solving. I've had the problem, and you actually hit the nail on the head. They've had the problem, and there's now a solution. I am a shitty golfer, So I need everything I can to do a little bit better, which is a better putter, right? So like, I'm like, it's solving.
That makes two of us too.
Yeah, exactly. So like, dude, yes, I'm gonna love it even more, right? And it solves my problem of being a shitty golfer. So actually, now that we're talking events, I'd love to put a golf tournament together. It might be a little too broy because mostly dudes golf, but like, yeah, we'll see. Anyway, it's just an idea that came to my mind. But
all right, well, now I have an idea.
Okay.
I got to be a little cryptic about how much I'm sharing about this because it is going to be a surprise in the fall.
Okay.
But there is an event it was just announced today, and we're sponsoring it. So whoever's listening, they can probably piece together who I'm talking about. But I pitched the founder of the company, who's a pretty massive name in B2B marketing, a crazy content idea. And I ran it past Devin Reed. I asked Devin last Thursday and I pitched this person Friday morning. And Devin was like, dude, that's brilliant. You should do this. I'm bringing a video crew with me as we play 9 holes on the golf course. And they're going to shoot us talking about first time VPs of marketing, hits, misses, and learnings along the way as we're playing golf.
Yes, dude. Yeah. That is my shit. Because dude, I'm launching, I've got 2 episodes that I haven't released yet actually, but I'm launching a cooking show that literally is going in. Yeah, I'm doing a cooking show. And so right now it's just me cooking, but then because I'm in Mexico right now, but when we get to Austin, we're going to bring in B2B like GTM leaders. And we're going to cook Mexican food because our whole theme is Mexican Day of the Dead. Dude. Yeah. So we're just like once a week I'm filming an episode. We're going to make some salsa. Awesome. So we're going to make some, all the generic guacamole. We're going to make, what else are we doing?
Yeah.
We made conchas, like the Mexican sweetbread last week. Yeah. But yeah, we're going to do that, make some stuff. And then eventually, we're going to bring in go-to-market people. But I also want to bring in like actual chefs. So like,
that is unreal.
Maybe talking to a big rapper name right now that also cooks, that a lot of people know who this person is, to do something with me. So we'll see. That's gonna be like the thing. Like I'm an okay cook. I just learned from my mom, who's like the best Mexican cook ever. So it's really her like cooking through me because I just like learn everything she did. But yeah, dude, something like that, right, is like gonna be awesome. And then what we're also doing is we should do something together because we're on the same page.
Oh, I have an idea. I'm gonna let you finish.
Okay.
Not here, but I already have an idea. It's related to stuff that we talked about. So keep
going. Let's keep throwing these ideas. The other thing that I want to do, well, actually next Tuesday in Austin, I'm hosting a fun run. And so we invited basically a lot of people. We've got like 60 people coming to a fun run that we're gonna do in Austin. And we might be including a mariachi band in this run, along with a few donkeys. So it's going to be some fun stuff, man. Yeah. Because obviously donkeys are a mascot. So yeah.
I love that. But I think it speaks to just, there's so much content in B2B right now. A lot of people just play it safe because they don't have the space to take creative risks, or they just don't have crazy ideas that are very experimental, and some will land and many will not. But I think the mere fact that you are thinking differently about content is already putting you a couple steps ahead of everybody else, because different is better than trying to be better.
That's exactly, dude, you hit the nail on the head. Different is better than trying to be better. There's a philosophy quote from earlier, right? Like, there we go. It's true, man. It's like, so I have a rule, and when it comes to content and marketing and all this stuff, and people are like, you're like a great marketer. How do you do it? And I'm like, I've never even considered myself a marketer. I just live by like one rule. And I'm like, if other people are doing it, don't do it. Like that, because if other people are doing it, that means they got it from someone and they got it from someone. Now, look, are there going to be flavors of stuff that other people maybe have done? Yeah, sure. Of course. Like fun runs. Like, I'm not the first person to do a fun run, but maybe I'm the first person to do it with in the B2B setting with like some mariachi bands, and throw my flavor in there, right? That's like different and something that I know no other company would do, right? Like, and going back to this is where you kind of have to have a crazy founder, which I'm the founder and I'm crazy. So, to buy into that stuff, right? And someone that's not so worried about don't get me wrong, I'm worried about pennies and how we spend them.
Yep.
But when it comes to marketing, like you can't put a price on like attention, right? Like it's hard. And you kind of have to take those swings, right? It's like, it's always an experiment really, in that sense. So yeah, man, I think that's, luckily you have founders that are kind of like giving you that autonomy.
Well, whatever you said to Ray at Spring straight up has helped me. I'm not even kidding, big time, because it opened Ray's eyes up to wanting to experiment more with marketing and try things that are unproven and different and whatnot. So I owe you a lab.
Let's go, dude. Yes. Well, there you go, man. Yeah. Cause I was telling Ray about the cooking show actually, and the cooking show and like all that fun stuff. So I'm like, dude, you guys need to do something like this. Cause no one wants another, like, I know we're on a podcast. We try and make it flavorful, but no one just wants a podcast, right? You want to, like you need like do some fun shit, man. That's just it. So, yeah, man. Okay. Third go-to-market thing. I think we did 2. What's your third one that you were thinking?
Yeah, we did 2. Okay. So I'm going to answer the third one in a second. And they're all really content oriented for me because UserEvidence has struggled with awareness outside of the customer marketing space because customer marketing is so small. Yeah. So I think a lot of the plays right now are really aimed at getting us outside of that bubble, which is why it's so content heavy. So I'm going to pitch you the idea that I have of you and I the next time I'm in Austin. Okay. And maybe we have Lab Golf sponsor this, but we should use Lab putters and go mini golfing together and record it in person and have a video crew.
Dude, I'll hit him up now. I'm going to hit up the CEO. No, actually I'll hit him up now and we'll do all a collab thing. Let's freaking do it. Yeah. He'll be down. He'll be down. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Love it. So the third thing is the Proofpoint and the show that I launched earlier this year. It was something that I knew that I wanted to do. I wanted to have some sort of show, not just because everyone in B2B needs to be doing a show, but it was easy for me to repurpose that content in my early days at Metadata in so many different ways and just have more output than you truly do at the end of the day and kind of punch above your weight class. Now, I had a podcast, Demand Gen U at Metadata. I think we made it to like 60 something episodes. It was a huge success. We had no idea what we were doing. So what I wanted to do was figure out, okay, let's do this again, but let's not just take what worked at Metadata and do the same exact thing here. So what I did was I pitched it to Evan and Ray, and I modeled it after 2 different shows, one that I love, and then another that I like the creative production behind it. I don't watch it nearly as religiously as the first one, but the first one was New Heights with the Kelsey brothers. I think they're hilarious.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. I see the clips.
They're so funny. And just like, it's like genuinely entertaining. And the second one was LeBron's, The Shop from, I think, Interrupted or Uninterrupted, his media arm, where they have people from very different backgrounds and have different perspectives come in and talk in person in a barbershop about topics. And they get real, they're laughing, it's honest, it's insightful, they're pulling from personal stories, they're not acting, they're just themselves. So what I wanted to do was combine both of those concepts into what is now the Proofpoint at UserEvidence. So every episode, we have 3 people who come from different backgrounds and have different perspectives, and we go deep on a single topic, and we have them talking with each other, commenting on each other's comments, asking each other's questions. I'm kind of in the background, like steering the conversation. I'm not the focus of it. The focus is them and just letting it like be real and raw and authentic. And it's been awesome because I've invited people from the core personas that we're trying to break into. I've had sales leaders, CS leaders, huge product marketing names, big, demand gen names, you name it. And we're all talking about things that relate back to our like core personas and the problems that they struggle with. And it's been amazing. We're right at the point where we know it's working and we got to really double down on it now. So it's exciting. It's a lot of work, but the craziest part is having to coordinate schedules by getting 3 very busy people on the books for the same date and time that works with 3 very full.
Yeah. And are they going to, so I forget, are they going to be getting haircuts?
So I wish we could do it in person.
Oh yeah.
That's another content.
There's a content idea. I was like, dude, that's amazing for an event where you have a barber there.
That would be hilarious.
And someone's asking them questions and they're getting there. Cause that does well. I see that on Instagram everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
All right.
Now there's another.
So no, it's virtual right now. I think what I would love to do at some point is try to record in person together, kind of like what Devin's doing with his Read Between the Lines show that I love. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. Yeah, shout out to Devin. He gave me the idea for the cooking show, actually. So shout out to Devin. He did. Devin gave me the idea because I was like, I need to do something with like Mexican flavor. And he's like, bro, you should do a cooking show with Mexican food. And he was kind of joking. And then we were like, whoa, no. Actually, I was like, dude, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And and then the next week I recorded episode 1. Like, let's go. Sorry, I cut you off there, dude. But yeah, so Read Between the Lines. Yeah.
All good. Yeah. So it's virtual now. I'd love to, be able to shoot a couple episodes in like a 2-day stretch with a few people, maybe around an event or something, just to kind of capture the magic that is shooting video content in person, because you really cannot replicate it. But it's been great. My CEO, Evan, is loving it. Ray is loving it. They listen to all of the episodes, which is awesome, but also stressful, because if I say anything in the podcast and I'm like, oh, I got to do that, then Ray will follow up, and he's done this before. Like, hey, did you actually do that? No, I forgot to. So,
of course. Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Dude, that's so amazing. Well, Ray thinks you're killing it, man. So just FYI, we're always like, dude, Mark's the machine with output, dude. Yeah, dude. That. Okay. So now, let's talk about 3 things you've tried that didn't work yet. Oh no, actually, before we go there, I want to talk about something that you didn't even mention that I noticed you did, right? Which is you came in and you rebranded the whole company in like a month, dude. Like,
there's a funny story behind
this. Okay, yeah. I want to hear this.
So right around this time last year, I was interviewing with UserEvidence. I accepted the role in June, and I started in early July. So I was giving my final presentation about a week and a half from now, a year ago. And in the final presentation, it was, assume you get the gig, what are you going to do in your first, 3, 6, 12 months? And I really wanted the job, like more than anything. The job description was written perfectly for me, right fit, right people, right everything. Like, I'm super happy to be here. So I prepped more than I ever had before for any interview. And when I put the final presentation in front of them, it was about, I don't know, maybe like 10 slides. But the first slide before I got into the actual prompt was, here are 3 things that we are not going to do in my first year. And it was redo the website, spend money on a rebrand, or spend money on paid ads. And the reason being was there was so much other work that I thought that we needed to do to really understand what is going to, go on the website when you redo it. In the current state of the economy, like, you need to have really strong product marketing and positioning and messaging and understand what needs to be said if you're going to be spending money on paid ads. And then a rebrand, it's just like, that's what every new marketing leader does. And then many of them get, let go, a year later when they're not showing results. I pitched that, and Evan goes, Mark, I couldn't agree more. It's great that you led with this, but we just closed our Series A and we needed to announce it by the end of the summer. So we have to completely redo the website, and you have to do it in less than 45 calendar days. And I'm like, oh my God. So I gave them a couple, demands. And I said, hey, if I'm going to do this, I need to work with my go-to creative agency. Algert are the best. We've still been working with them. I was their first customer. I've worked with them for about 4 years now. And I need a couple other resources to make this work. So they're like, all right, we'll do it. So it was a horrible way from a work-life balance perspective to start your new gig for the first, however many days that it took me. I actually know the exact, it took me 28 calendar days, which was insanity.
Yeah. Oh, wow, dude. Yeah. Crazy.
What I learned was, looking back, it was unbelievable for me to just get a huge noticeable win under my belt right out of the gate, and show them that, hey, I'm not just going to talk the talk here. Like, I can actually do the work too. And I think once I knocked that out for them, then it made them realize, like, all right, we can trust this guy. We hired the right guy. Yeah. Let's give him a little bit more breathing room. Let's let him do his thing. It's not to say that, they're not asking me hard questions and pushing me as they should, but that was a big kind of trial for me to really earn the right to say, you know, hey, Evan, or hey, Ray, great idea, just not something that we should do right now. Let's do it a couple months later. And I don't think that I would have those legs to stand on unless I nailed, you know, that big website redesign that included new positioning, new messaging, all the website copy, all the pages on the site, new branding, you name it. It was a wild
dude
time.
That's honestly, man, you crushed that. It was like, it felt like overnight you did it. Honestly, it was like, which it pretty much was overnight. Yeah. And honestly, and the brand is also sick. Like, you did a good job on brand. It's memorable. And that's how I know it. And when I say sick, I mean memorable, because, you know, I've gotten feedback before in look, in certain, you need to have different gears, right? As a person, I truly believe like everyone has different gears, and like my default gear is like happy, fun, like let's have a good time. And then I have like an intense founder gear, right? Like, and see, right? Like, let's do it. And so I think with this, like for me, you know, the brand part of it, some people are like, well, it's not professional. And I go back to this and I say, well, is it better to be professional or is it better to be memorable? And I always go back to, it's better to be memorable. And that's the gear you need to be in with your branding. Right. Mm-hmm. And like, for me, that's why ours is crazy as hell. Right. It's like Mexican Day of the Dead. Like, you know, we got this shit.
I actually do love it. And I love hearing you talk about it now, because I totally agree with everything.
Yeah. It's all about being memorable, man. And like, and anytime we want to create something or drop something new, like when it revolves around that, we're still very early, by the way. We're not even Series A, right? But it's like, is this going to be memorable? We just launched the campaign yesterday, Taco Template Tuesday, right? And like, people are DMing me like taco, like they remember it now, right? And it's like, oh shit, like this is cool. It's different. Like, you know, it's kind of out there, whatever. But, you know, I think you did a good job just going full circle here of being memorable. Cause I think the guy with like the UserEvidence mustache, and I'm like, that's UserEvidence, you know, like I know UserEvidence. So great job on that, man. I'm actually getting, right after this call at 10, I'm speaking to Udi from Gong specifically about branding. So, we're doing a LinkedIn live together. So,
I can't wait I'm going to probably watch that as I'm working on my presentation about
there you go, dude. Like he might, so I'm going to get into it with him too. Like, hey, what are the plays early on for people to like create a great brand? Cause you did that with Gong. And that's like my top question, you know? So, yeah, man, I think you did a really good job at that. And I also think, one of the last true moats in SaaS today is brand, right? Like I think I always bring up this example. The people listening are going to laugh as well, because I always go back to this. But like, if you look at Liquid Death, right? Like they're selling freaking water, dude. And literally the world's number one commodity, right? And they're building a company off of it. So if you think you're too saturated, you probably are in a saturated market. But guess what? There's still a way to win, and it's typically with brand and media distribution, right? And so yeah, man, I think you see that as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, dude, Mark, it's been great chatting with you, my friend. Let's see, where can people find you? LinkedIn, I'm guessing, is the best place to find Mark here.
Yeah, LinkedIn, and then where else can they find me? Usually at B2B SAS events. Come say hey, and then make sure to listen to the Proofpoint. And then just recently we launched, and this is a kind of a new experiment, but I think it's going to turn into a play. I launched a newsletter. We just sent out the 3rd edition yesterday. And what does the B2B SaaS world need? Another newsletter? No, the hook for the newsletter is I'm sharing, you know, wins, but I'm also sharing misses and just being very vulnerable and honest around what I've missed on and why and what I've learned from that. And I can tell you, in 3 sends, we're sending it every other week. The feedback has been amazing, because people realize that it's not all perfect. So if you give off the illusion that it's perfect, like they see right through that. They just want people who are real and honest and genuine about what's actually happening.
Yeah. Well, dude, that's why the format of this pod is like things that work, things that don't work. And what do you like, what do you always go back to, right? Like, what's your secret sauce, I guess you can say. So, cause that's the stuff that I care about, honestly. Like, I'm genuinely interested in like, okay, like you said a couple of things where I'm like, we came out with content ideas, right? Like, dude, I'm like,
I think we had
some sick ones, right? And then like and then lastly to finish this up, dude. Well, Mark, I'll be in touch, brother. Thank you so much for hopping on. I'll have probably this out.
This was a blast. Thank you for having me on.
Yes, dude. Thank you, man. And we're going to do some content stuff together. Like I got so much out of this too, dude. So learned a lot from you, man. So thank you. We'll chat with you soon. I'll probably email you right now. We'll muster something up. So
Later,
brother.
Thanks for having me on, Andy.
Thanks, man. Later. Peace.